as the election endgame draws closer, we are going to focus on sectors and reforms that may be on the top of the agenda of the next government. And more importantly, what lessons from Gujarat that a possible Modi-led government may apply at the national level, should an NDA government come to power post May 16, that is. Saurabh Patel, Industries, Energy and Petroleum Minister for the state of Gujarat, is with us to take us this discussion forward, to kickstart this discussion, as it were. In a bit, we'll also have Mr. Secy Tripathi, former Oil Secretary, joining in to discuss how the oil reforms may pan out. But Mr. Saurabh Patel, coming to you first. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. Well, first up, you know, an overarching question. Gujarat has got it right on several areas in industrialization and in economic growth. What do you think may be the first few lessons that may be transplanted to the central government from Gujarat?
See, what we did in last 10 years was cutting down the non-plan expenditure. We were spending more money on development, and hence the infrastructure which we are seeing is a result of that. So what I feel that the first thing what the Modi-led government will have to do at the center is to pumping money for infrastructure, bring in reforms in the energy sector, and form policies by which investments would come in and growth would take place. So there are a lot of things to be done on all fronts, and especially in the last many years there had been a complete policy paralysis. So this has to be removed immediately and decisions will start flowing in the next 6 months.
I take your point that cutting non-plan expenses would be the most important way to go forward. After all, the fiscal deficit is the biggest scourge of this government and the one that will come. But, you know, there are some sticky problems, and I wanted to know your mind and your government's mind on that. For instance, land acquisition. Now, try as you may, that law is already in place. Can the approach be different? The DIPP and other ministries tell us that it is almost impossible to get land even for infrastructure projects like roads.
See, what we did in government of Gujarat was that since last 2 years we have acquired land only through a process, and the process is with consent, and the price has been market prices. So we had appointed a third party to determine the market price, and accordingly land was acquired. We had never had any disputes of acquiring land from farmers for industrial purpose. Secondly, what we did, that instead of government having industrial estates, we promoted private people to form industrial estates, and we made a policy by which we used to give them money for developing infrastructure in that estate. So today, in last 1 year, I have given not less than 50 projects for go-ahead signal. And I'm sure within the next span of 1 year, there will be 100 of industrial estates built up by private people who will be acquiring land from the farmers at market prices, and government, depending upon the size of the estate, would be giving them money for building up infrastructure.
Okay. Mr. Patel, good morning and thank you for being with us this morning. What kind of specific reforms can one expect from the new government in the energy sector?
See, if you look at it today, last couple of years, at many a times contacted the Union Energy Minister, but unfortunately nothing was materialized. Gujarat from 8,000 megawatts reached to 22,000 megawatts in last 10 years. And today we are surplus by around 6,000 to 7,000 megawatts, but there are no buyers. The capacity of the utilities is very, very poor. So number one, we'll have to strengthen them. Number two, the transmission network, in spite of years of implementation, has been delayed. So on one side there is power, on the other side there is no, the transmission network is not powerful. So that is one thing which we'll have to strengthen. The third is, around more than 22,000 megawatts of gas-based power projects have been lying idle. They are closed. So imagine the loss to the country in the form of non-availability of power. The bankers must have put in not less than 80,000 crores in it. So they would be all be dead assets if nothing is done immediately. So I think government will have to come out with a strong, aggressive policy to see that this power units which are lying idle have to be restarted, and the utilities and the state governments will have to tighten their belts to see that they also collect their revenues and start paying the utilities.
Okay, well, the gas price has reached a very sticky point, Mr. Patel. Do you see that getting resolved very quickly? Even assuming a Modi government comes in with a reasonably stable majority, isn't it a political hot potato to get back to $8 or the Rangarajan formula?
See, I think you'll have to take all the political parties on board, all the stakeholders on board, and a solution have to be resolved, because on one side you find that the exploration cost day by day is increasing, and on the other side the capacity to pay is not there. So everyone has to take strong decisions to see that this assets where thousands of crores have been invested should not lie idle. Say if you have a very high gas price, then the power projects won't run. If you have a very low gas price, the exploration won't be done. So something has to come out, and I'm sure the new government will be able to take a decision based on all these factors and also taking everyone on board.
So in terms of a timeline, when do you think this decision could come through? Because the Oil Minister Veerappa Moily clearly has pushed it to July. He said not before July can we see the new gas price. When do you think the new gas pricing formula could be put on board?
See, it's not possible for me to tell you that. It will only be clear only after the new government forms in and after the new Petroleum Minister takes place.
Fair point. Actually, on this issue, why don't we get Mr. Secy Tripathi, the former oil secretary who has handled this and seen this issue from its inception, as it were. Mr. Tripathi, thank you very much for joining us. That really is the question. How quickly do you think it can be resolved, considering how politicized the issue has become?
Let me say a few things about Gujarat. In Gujarat, people understand oil and gas better than perhaps people in the other states, because oil and gas was struck in Gujarat many years ago, and the farmer also understands oil and gas just as the farmer in Gangetic Belt understands underground water. Secondly, in Gujarat, they have been able to take gas at a higher price. The industry has been able to take gas at higher price and make a success of it. So having said that, now let me say that as far as the low-hanging fruits are concerned, it would be best for a new government to continue with the decisions taken by the earlier government in respect of diesel prices, 50 paisa per month increase in diesel prices until they come up to the market level. Secondly, continue with the policy regarding direct subsidy in case of LPG cylinders and making subsidized cylinders available to persons below poverty line. Now, these are questions of implementation to tweak the system such that this can be implemented in a seamless manner without causing too much of trouble here and there and reaching the objective. Thirdly, you come to the gas price. Now, I personally feel that the balance of convenience lies in letting it as such. I mean, the decision was taken by the previous government, so they incur the odium of having taken the decision. You continue with that. But I feel that so much has been said about it that maybe the new government would like to have a transition period from $4.2 per million BTU to 8.4. And that transition period may be a year or little more than a year. If they want to make major changes, they will have to set up a committee. Because they cannot do it in an ad hoc manner. They'll have to set up a committee. But if they want
something other than the Rangarajan formula will be
yes. That will require a committee to go into it in depth. So therefore, I think the best would be to give a transition period of maybe this year and from next year, or make it a step by step. $6 this year, $7 next year, and then come to 8.4, something like that.
Mr. Patel, is that your best guess as well?
See, I don't know. I cannot say much on that subject because I have not discussed this issue with any of the political leaders in Delhi. But one thing what Mr. Tripathi told about the LPG, I think one decision will be taken in the center would be to implementing the gas grid in a massive scale. And that would only reduce the subsidies. See, today we in the state of Gujarat, only our one company, GSPC gas company, has more than 10 lakh household connections. That means that catering to 50 lakh people of the state. So if a gas grid is in formation, then a huge subsidy bill of the center could be saved. Annually in the state of Gujarat, we are saving 700 crores per annum as of today. So I think that over a period of 5 years down the line, we will be seeing a lot of cities having a gas grid, and that way we can reduce the burden of the country as far as subsidy is concerned.
Also, will the...
At this point, maybe we only get Anuj Singhal also in. Anuj, of course, tracks oil and gas very closely for us. Anuj, what exactly is the market expecting?
Yeah, Lata, few things. One is that, at this point in time, the market is assuming that the current crude price and the currency remains stable, because that's been the case for, say, last 3 or 4 months. So that's a big if at this point in time. But what the market expects right now is that there should be some action on 2 fronts. One is diesel and one is LPG. Now, diesel, it's already down to 5.5 rupees a litre in terms of subsidy. In fact, there was a time it had even gone down to about 3 rupees or so, and then the currency depreciation changed that. I think what the market wants is clear clarity that the diesel under recovery would be wiped out over a period of, say, 1 or 2 years. Either if the situation is good, for example, by the time the new government is formed, if you are already at, say, 3 rupees a litre, a bold government can easily go ahead and just take a one-time diesel price hike, and then say that from now on it will, just like petrol, every 15 days there will be revision of diesel prices. In that case, it happens, say, 10 paisa here or there. I don't think it should bother anyone. Or you can say that okay, the current diesel subsidy of 3 rupees is the cap, and going on, it's market driven. I think that's on diesel. I think that's most important, because if you take a look at the overall subsidy,
that is the market expectation on diesel.
That is the market expectation on diesel, because of the 1.4 lakh crores subsidy burden, 65,000 crore is purely on account of diesel, and that's something that's low hanging fruit that can be easily removed. Just like petrol was, I mean, I'm sure diesel can as well. The other is LPG, and on that, which is 45,000 crores. I don't think kerosene can be touched right now, 30,000 crore, but LPG 45,000 crores. In that, if you have a targeted approach, Aadhaar was of course dismantled, and you don't have that. But if you have a targeted approach, you only provide subsidy directly to the cash account of BPL subscribers or consumers. In that case, that could save another 20-25,000 crores. Just one more word on the differentiation between Gujarat model and for LPG, the gas grid. The gas grid works for in buildings, and where people are already above the poverty line. For those living below poverty line and living in slums and all, I'm still not sure if you can apply gas grid. I think LPG will still have to continue.
You've come with a lot of points. Maybe you get Mr. Patel in on some of them before we get to Mr. Tripathi as well. Mr. Patel, do you think if the next government is a Modi government, the marketization of diesel price will happen quickly? And will that next government dare to bring down the subsidized for cylinders from 12 to maybe 9 or 6?
See, I've been working with Modi ji since last 10 years. One thing is very clear, that he is not a person who will be taking decisions which have been, not going completely against the previous government decisions, because he believes that investments would flow if there is confidence. So only on certain decisions only he might take a reverse stand. Otherwise, our manifesto itself is very, very clear where we have to proceed. And most of the decisions which have been taken by the earlier governments, the process of implementing faster would be the first preference rather than changing those decisions. So no doubt the new government will have a very tough time as far as controlling the expenditure is concerned, controlling the subsidies concerned. And Modi ji will give incentives for building up infrastructure and trying to control the subsidies in a different way.
No, sir, you're not answering my question. What I want to know is whether this diesel price, 50 price hike, which was,
It's too early for me to tell you.
But we're just trying to understand. We're only understanding the pre-elections or what we should expect. If we were to have an NDA-led government. Do you think that LPG cylinders, for instance, the subsidy could be reduced at all?
See, today, when we were discussing with the centre, what we told the centre, any state government that puts up a gas grid, we would give an incentive, and they should be given incentive to maximize this grid. So today in Gujarat, we have given a gas grid to not less than 800 villages, 900 villages. So it is not that the people are not ready to use it. People are ready to use it if they get a good gas at a good price, and secondly, if they, the administrative work is reduced, the hassles are reduced, so people are ready to pay. Even in Gujarat, in the power sector, you name any sector, even water also, they are ready to pay if they are getting good service. So Modi ji believes in giving good infrastructure, giving good services, and I don't think he will be reducing any policies drastically what the Congress has gone. So what we'll basically do, this government will do is change certain policies to see that more investments come in, and otherwise what will happen that if you drastically change policies, it gives a very wrong signal to the financial institutions or to the foreign countries that this country is not to be trusted. So I don't think, because even in the state of Gujarat before Modi ji came in, the Congress was ruling. We changed our schemes, but we never ever completely rolled back something what the earlier government did.
Mr. Tripathi, you wanted to respond?
No, I said, it is a good suggestion that LPG should be reduced, LPG use should be reduced, and gas grid should be spread all over the country. But this will take a long time. Technically, LPG is a higher category fuel and more expensive fuel, whereas methane, that is natural gas, is a lower category fuel. Therefore, the more you spread the network of gas grid and connect homes and industries with gas, it is better. But in a country of India's size and population, this will take minimum 10 years. And until then, you have to have at least LPG distribution system. And that also, then you need a lot of more natural gas. And natural gas is not easily available in countries, so you have to buy natural gas through LNG mode. But this brings me to another point, which is a medium-term, long-term, and very important point, and I'm sure the Gujarat people will understand it. We should have coal and petroleum in the same ministry and in the same legislation. All over the world, both are together. And in India, coal, we have much more coal, and we have only 1% of reserves of hydrocarbon. Carbon and hydrocarbon go together. In fact, gas can also be developed through coal. That is what China is doing.
Okay. No, Mr. Tripathi, our brief question now to understand how to, expect policies for the next few months is, do you think the next government will have the courage to reduce LPG subsidies?
As I said, it will be difficult, and the next government should continue with the hard decisions taken by the previous government after a lot of delay and lot of difficulty. So whatever hard decisions the previous government has taken, the next government should continue with that.
Okay. Mr. Patel, if we can just shift focus back to the infrastructure space. You pointed out that the new government will pump in money in the infrastructure sector. But can you throw some more light on what the new set of reforms could be as far as land acquisition is concerned, as far as clearing up of the bottlenecks in road projects, etc.?
See, what I can tell you, say for example, coming back to infrastructure in gas, I agree that it will take 10 years minimum for the gas grid. Second thing, a lot of LNG terminals have to be put in place. We have to enter into long-term contracts. In Gujarat, we are working on 3 LNG terminals today, and we'll be practically doubling, tripling our existing capacities. We are also working on a massive gas grid right up to Kashmir, and the other one to connecting the eastern part of the country. So all these things will have to be put in place. The land will have to take the farmers into confidence. You cannot build up industries by taking the land from the farmers at a throwaway prices. And industry will have to pay for this price. And today, if you go in the rural sector, the cost of land is comparatively cheap. So for development purpose, for roads and everything, it could be a different policy. For building up factories, for industries, the land price has to be different. So this is the model which will have to work. But one thing is very clear, decisions will be taken. Environmental issues will be cleared at a much faster pace. Regarding the environmental issues as far as coal blocks are concerned will also be cleared. Today the mining sector is in doldrums. There is no additional investment coming. No new power projects are coming. People are not sure of what price the power they'll have to pay. So there are so many things which the new government will have to take in a span of 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, Mr. Patel, those are extremely sticky issues as well, and it may be difficult to take quick decisions. So if we can have your view one by one, how do you think a new government can tackle the mining bans?
So it's not that. What we have to do is there is a lot of coal reserves as mentioned. Only thing we have to
No, I meant the iron ore mining ban.
Issues. See, iron ore, I am not too much aware of it because we are not connected with the subject in the state of Gujarat. So I won't be able to throw any light on
In
it.
coal, what do you expect? I mean, a lot of the allocations are stuck. You think all allocations will get scrapped and auctions will start? How do you see a new government moving on coal?
See, today, where is this coal going to be utilized? That is the first point. If this coal mining has been sold blocks to power utilities of the state government, and if the power is going to be sold to the people, then the government's approach has to be different. But if a coal mine is taken by an industry and that is for the usage, captive usage, and whether the transparent process has been done or not, it has to be a different issue. So we'll have to look at it on a very macro level and find out what was wrong. So if something wrong had been done drastically, the procedure was not followed, then I think it could be reviewed. But something where there is no, the process has been done for the benefit of the people, and the people are going to be benefited, then I think those things have to go ahead.
Okay.
Say for example, state government mines, which we have received, which there's no private people involved in it. So why should those mines be blocked? And the state government mines are being given for producing power which is going to go to the people. So these are the issues which have to be resolved very quickly so that a proper signal has to go.
So you mean you will stick to allocation and not auction?
No, it all depends. Allocation for who is the final beneficiary. If the state government is the beneficiary, then there's nothing wrong in allocating.
So it's not necessary
because
that the new government, if it's an NDA government, will go for auctioning coal blocks.
No. What I'm saying is different. Suppose if you auction up a mine, the state governments cannot enter into an auction. So for this, the state governments, coal mines have to be separated from the whole thing, and the state governments are using that coal for the benefit of the people. So those have to be separated from the industry part.
Okay. Well, I was also interested in how you began this conversation by saying that the Gujarat government cut non-plan expenses to find resources for building infrastructure. What do you think could be, if it's a Modi government, its attitude to fiscal deficit? Do you think we could see it controlling fiscal deficit? Because, it's well proven that that's the cause of inflation.
Yeah, I agree. It has to be done. So Gujarat has done it in a very big way in the last 10 years. Today, we are revenue surplus, but even in our borrowings also, we are much better than other state governments. Even the debt also, it is approved by the Reserve Bank. But compared to GSDP, it is hardly 20-21%, and our limits are 29%. So you can't do it overnight, but you take 4-5 years to build up on it. And I'm sure the new government under Modi ji will cut down non-plan expenditure in a big way, slowly and steadily, and also even wasteful subsidies, I would rather say. Subsidies will continue.
What is wasteful,
but wasteful subsidies are, say, maybe subsidies which are not properly utilized. That is wasteful.
If you could be a little more concrete in your example, would you mean fertilizers, some kind of fertilizer subsidies? What would you mean by wasteful?
Wasteful means, say, the distribution system is not good.
Okay.
The states also will have to be responsible for it. And I think every government, if you properly diagnose subsidy, there might be a chunk of it which is wasteful. So you have to bring an efficiency in the whole system. And only if the efficiency comes in, that money will be saved.
You expect
so on one side, you have to increase the revenues.
So you expect the Food Security Act to be stuck to by the new government, or would that be revamped considerably?
It's too early for me to say that, because if you look at it, our suggestions, we believe that most of the states were giving food at a cheaper price to poor people. Now, only thing what has to be done is these poor people have to be properly identified, and hence they should receive what is the fair share.
Okay, well, finally, Mr. Patel, if it happens that you do have a Modi-led government in the centre, who may be the next Chief Minister of Gujarat? Your name is doing the rounds.
No, today we have a solid team, and most of the ministers are capable of taking this job, and the party will decide. But whatever direction Modi ji has given since last 10 years, I am very much sure and confident that we will be able to proceed as per that direction. And one thing is for sure, since last 10 years, because Modi ji was the Chief Minister, lot of injustice has happened to the state of Gujarat on all fronts. So we are very, very happy that once at least Modi ji comes in, the injustice which has happened to the state of Gujarat will at least go away.
Okay. Well, finally, Mr. Patel, you got a notice from the Election Commission on your relationship to the Ambanis. Has that been answered?
See, I never got a notice. And but let me tell you something. I got married 25, 30 years back. And no one has been able to point a finger at me till today. And it is only because Kejriwal wanted publicity and he wanted to attack Modi ji, he has given this. And it is so unfortunate that people like Kejriwal gets publicity because of sending or making allegations against politicians on relationship of blood.
Okay.
And since last 10 years, and no one has been able to give anything against me and Reliance.
All right, Mr. Patel, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Tripathi as well. Thank you very much for joining us.